If you've played Tarkov as long as I've had, you probably noticed that these guys are running around a lot in your raids. These are Unheard Edition players, and they're sort of ruining the game but also making it a little easier for you. You see, Unheard Edition players get a shit ton of early game loot, but what they also get is this beautiful cloak that they seem to always love and enjoy to wear. Now let me tell you, this cloak is no blessing. This cloak is actually complete garbage, and it just makes you more visible while you wear it. And it's really stupid what these people are doing. So it's not exactly the amount of money you pay for this that makes it much of a scam. It's the fact that this cloak is so goddamn visible that makes it a scam. And let me tell you why. Looking at the cloak here, you can see that it actually physically expands the size of your character, because now you're wearing a cloak instead of skin-tight clothing. It probably makes it the most visible clothing in the entire game now that I'm looking at it. As you can see, it could probably peek around corners with those little flaps there. But let me explain the real kicker. You see, when something black is silhouetted against something green, it becomes extremely visible. The way to camouflage in Tarkov is to get various shades of green, combine them into clothing, and then go into a green foresty area. That's probably the best way to camouflage in Tarkov. This is the worst way. As you can see, the black is obviously silhouetting against the green and making it a lot more obvious and a lot easier to kill this player. Another thing that I'd like to add is that the Unheard Edition gets a lot of loot, as I said before. However, this is more beneficial to you than it is to them. Loot doesn't really transfer to skill unless you get to a certain type of loot. And Unheard Edition doesn't really have that. You don't really have, the high tech, you don't have your SIG Spears or your MK47s. You don't have any of that shit. You have decent mid-game gear. Mid to late game gear. That's what you start with. Which is, a little unfair. But looking at these clips and stuff, you could take them out no problem. Because this gear, it gives them unresolved confidence. It gives them confidence that they haven't earned. It gives them unearned confidence, basically. And it basically just makes it so they're super cocky, and they're going to play a lot worse than they would otherwise. Because when you have loot at the beginning, your loot is so much more valuable because you have so little of it. But if you buy the Unheard Edition, you're getting a shit ton of loot all at the beginning of wipe, and you don't know what to do. Plus, a lot of these guys that play this game and buy the Unheard Edition are noobs. They think, oh, I can easily play this game with this type of loot. And no, it's not. It's just not going to work. It's a huge skill gap. And if you're a player like me who's already passed that skill gap, you should have no problem dealing with the Unheard Edition players. However, I would like to talk about the one negative about this, and this might just be the wipe, but I think also it's partly the Unheard Edition players, and that is the huge, not only level progression, but also loot progression. As I see, there's people that are level 20, level 30 already, and it was only 5 days into wipe, and it would blew my mind, and of course these guys are sweats, but I'm seeing a lot of them. More than usual, and I'm seeing more and more people with shit tons of gear. There's not a lot of poor people in this game. You come across, every once in a while, but a lot of people are stacked up on loot, and I've just been stealing all these kits, getting all this good loot, and getting all this great ammo. And I've been kind of enjoying the game, but I feel like it messes up the economy. You don't have, I didn't get the chance to use a lot of the I didn't get a chance to use the shittier weapons of the game, like the weapons like the PPSH, or even the revolver shotgun. I didn't get to resort to that. And that's I think that's unfortunate. I think Tarkov, when you're low on loot and when you're low on money, it brings out the best in Tarkov, because when you're desperate, you're going to find more creative ways and more fun ways to play the game. And I think that's what makes Tarkov special, and I think that's what Tarkov has really lost. Ever since the recoiled update, guns have been really easy to use. People are now using way better guns, and the standard has gotten stagnant. you can tell what guns people are using. They're usually rocking an AK or an M4. It's usually never in between, unless it's for a quest, of course. You got your shotguns, but that's only for setup. And then pistols, well, that's only for stirrup. And then rifles, oh, well, that's only for shooter. So what's the point? If you're only going to use other weapons that aren't meta for missions, then what's the point of the game? Tarkov needs to hammer down on this. Nerf the scavs. I don't know, do something to Unheard Edition, but I'm tired of just seeing people running around with rifles and sometimes SMGs. I want to see some variety. So yeah, that's all.